Hey, sixth grade, we are talking about density today, and we're going to learn the formula for it. Okay, so first off, we need to know what density is. So what we did on our paper today is we wrote down that density, okay, is how tightly matter is packed together. And you'll remember your hand motions that you did with that. You took your two hands and you looked like you were packing something together, okay? And we said that density is how tightly that matter is packed together. And we talked about in fifth grade when we drew a solid, a liquid, and a gas. We drew a solid and we would connect it in rows and columns. We said it looked kind of like a marching band, okay? We don't need to talk about a solid anymore because we already know about that, but what we need to look at is how tightly this is packed together. And I could keep drawing pieces of matter, but the point is that you need to know that this is very dense. That means that the matter is packed together, okay? Now the opposite of that, and what you have on your notes that you put, this might more so be like a gas or a liquid. The matter here that you see, it is not packed together. So I would say that this is less dense than the last drawing that I just did, okay? So we talked about density. The other word that we reviewed from last year today was mass, okay? And we learned that mass was the amount of matter in an object. Okay? And we had a hand motion for this too. For density, we packed our hands together kind of like we were making a snowball because that was how tightly it was packed together. Then we opened our hands and kind of had like a question, okay, like we're asking a question, but it's the amount of matter that was in the object, okay? And here, we just drew maybe another picture of a solid, and we drew it kind of how we did last year. And we connected it in rows and columns because in a solid the matter sticks together, okay? And if I were to use a scientific tool to find the mass, if you remember you have little note cards, you would use a pan balance, okay? Hopefully remember that a pan balance is what I would use to measure the mass, and I might find out that the mass in this object, that it's going to be 5 grams, okay, of matter. So I am actually measuring that there are 5 grams of matter in this object, okay? In that object, there are 5 grams of matter. And that told me the amount of matter in that object. The next thing that we reviewed from last year is we reviewed that V word, volume. And I reminded you that last year, and I did it in parentheses, okay, that I wrote volume this way in 5th grade. Okay, I wrote it in my cheerleading bubble letters that I'm so good at. Okay, volume. And I write it big because we remember that volume is the amount of space an object takes up. Okay, and this all should be on your notes. If you were sick, this is what we took notes on. Amount of space, the amount of space an object takes up. Okay, and we made a V with our hands. First we packed together that matter because that was density. Then we opened it up to ask how much, the amount, that's the mass. And then we made a V with our hands like we were doing the YMCA, V for volume, and we stretched out because we want to take up more space. Okay, volume is the amount of space. And what we drew on our paper is I reminded you of that big balloon that I said I was going to bring into class. And that big balloon, and I made it a hot air balloon on your paper, that big balloon takes up a lot of space. So it has big volume because it takes up a lot of space, okay? Now on the other side, we did a little bitty bowling ball, okay? This has little volume, okay? It takes up a little amount of space. However, if you talk about your definitions that you had on the 2 slides before this, the bowling ball would have a lot of, do you know what? It would have a lot of mass, okay? It would be very dense, okay? The matter in it would be very close together, while the matter of a big hot air balloon would be really spread out, okay? We learn next that density, and this is what we really need to know in 6th grade, density, the equation for that is mass divided by volume. Okay? So, on your problems that we worked today, I would go ahead and give you the mass of an object, and I would give you the volume of an object. I might tell you that the mass was 12 grams, and that the volume was 6 cubic centimeters. Okay, remember when we do volume, we do length times width times height. That's where I get that cube right there. But all I have to do is I still just bring down my density and I plug in those numbers. We know what the mass is. We know that it's 12 grams. So I put the 12 where the mass should have been. And then I'm going to put the volume at the bottom. Okay, and that's where the volume goes. I just brought it down. Now we said that first we work the number part, okay? And remember density, I can abbreviate that by doing a little d, or a big D, I guess a capital D. I'm gonna go ahead and do my number part. 12 divided by 6 would be 2, okay? And then remember, I just bring this guy down, okay? Now remember, I could just bring it down and write it like a fraction, or some people, they'll put a slash there to represent that division sign, and then bring down their cubic centimeters, okay? So review this at home, maybe get your parents involved, maybe they can give you some more problems. Okay, that was a really simple problem. You might want to do some where you would need a calculator, okay? But you will have that as a board question when you come into science next time. Hope y'all have a great day.